Hello, everybody. Good evening and happy Success Sunday. Oh, wow. It has been a great week, and I hope that you all have had an amazing week as I have and ready for another amazing week upcoming. And so I'm glad that you could spend a few moments with me this evening for a Success Sunday message. For those of you who might be new to joining me, I'm Tameika Isaac Devine, work life integration strategist, leadership mentor, and the founder of A Divine Life, which is a peak performance consulting and speaking agency where I work primarily with working women, working moms, women in leadership. But the success tips that I share on Sunday evenings and in my blog are universal. And so you can use them anywhere. And so, anyway, I am I come every Sunday evening just for a few moments, 10, 15 minutes, not long, just to bring you a success tip or advice or it's something that I wanted to share, either that I've experienced myself or that helps me as a woman leader, a community advocate, community champion, as I'm balancing work and life and all that stuff. That hopefully will speak to you and you can actually share or you can actually implement in your life. And so, anyway, this week's Success Sunday message. I wanted to bring to you guys is really about self care. Now, we always hear people talk about self care, especially on Sunday. Like the hashtag SelfCare Sunday is always trending, definitely on Twitter and other places. And yesterday I posted about my self care and I hashtag Self Care Saturday. But really, self care is important every single day. And so, as I was thinking about the message I wanted to bring you this week, I really wanted to think about my experience this week and share with you about why self care is so important all the time. I think a lot of times we talk about self care and we think about it sometimes as an afterthought, or we think about it when we are burnt out. Or we're exhausted, or we've had a lot going on, or whatever it is. And so, that's kind of sometimes when it elevates it in our mind, but it really is something that needs to be priority every day. And priority and as we are planning the priorities specifically, especially for the priorities for your week, on how are you going to implement self-care in your daily routine, your weekly routine, and making sure you're taking care of yourself. Because we always hear people say, you can't pour from an empty cup, which is very true. Or, people a lot of times use the analogy that when you are getting on the airplane and they talk about, put your oxygen mask on yourself first before helping others. Because, of course, if you are not healthy, if you are not well, if you are burnt out, if you are not taking care of yourself, how can you continue to do all the things that you want to do? Then when it's building your business or it's working in the community or whatever it is that you're doing for others, how can you do that if you're not taking care of yourself? And so, I have actually always prided myself on the importance of self care. And if any of you have followed me for a while on social media or read my blog or anything, I talk a lot about my priorities and also scheduling, and that I put everything on my schedule, whether it is my massages, it's family night, other things like that, because I think it's so important not only to make sure that you set aside time for that, but also I think if it makes it on your calendar, it shows you and anybody else that might be, we're looking at your calendar, that these are my priorities. This is important to me, and I want to make sure it gets done. And then also, you actually don't overlook it when it's on your schedule. And so self care is part of that as well. But I think a lot of times people think about self care like the big things. Like this weekend, I went to the spa, and if you watch me on social media, I posted about being at the spa this weekend. Spent the afternoon. I have to go back and do like a whole day or even a whole weekend because it was just amazing. I've not done that since prior to the pandemic, and I really had a great time. But I went ahead and made sure I had a facial. I had some time in the relaxation room. I went in the sauna. It was just really, really a great experience. And when I posted, everybody was like, "Oh, you deserve it. You should have done that a long time ago." And it really is. I mean, I'm somebody who I get a massage monthly, at least once a month, sometimes more than once a month. Prior to the pandemic, I used to get a facial once a month. Because of the pandemic, I really hadn't been doing that. I am somebody who takes a jacuzzi bath at least once a week to make sure that I have my time with my sage and my lavender, and I soak in the bath for a while. And so I really pride myself in self care. But taking this time this weekend to actually do the self care, the level of self care that I did, even just sitting out on the beach and thinking and everything else, really gave me kind of a new sense of looking at the self care and how important it is. And especially for working parents, working moms, high achieving women who are always, always doing so much for other people. It is so important that we take care of ourselves. We know a couple weeks ago, well, in the last couple weeks, we've seen a lot about depression and suicide. But a couple weeks ago, we saw that Chelsea Chris, former Miss USA, graduate of the University of South Carolina, lawyer, just a beautiful spirit inside and out, committed suicide. And that has caused a lot of people to talk about how, especially high functioning individuals, can look like everything is great on the outside, but if inside you're dealing with something, and you haven't been able to deal with it in a way that helps you process it, what sometimes the consequences can be. And so I think that actually really hit home for me this weekend as I was thinking about taking my time, because I'm used to going a lot. But I also feel like I take care of myself. I have my self care, like I mentioned, all the stuff that I've done. But I do think that sometimes you really have to stop. I mean, just literally stop and think about the ways that you are constantly caring for yourself, because you never know how something can easily build up. And so you don't want to ever get to that point where something has built up and you haven't taken care of yourself, and then you do crash. You have exhaustion. I have friends who sometimes are hospitalized because of exhaustion. I have friends who have migraines because they're constantly doing different things. And so I just wanted to share with you my couple three tips on why self-care is so important all the time, and then give you some ideas of some things that I've even started doing to help add to my self-care routine and regimen on a regular basis. And so let me just share with you number one first reason, of course, that self-care is so important all the time, not just to alleviate, not just, when you've had a stressful week or whatever, but all the time, every day, is it rejuvenates you. It gives you that opportunity to be rejuvenated, to be refreshed, to be relaxed. I will tell you, part of my weekend this weekend at the spa was, like I mentioned, just sitting out listening to the waves on the ocean, sitting in the relaxation room and drinking some tea and just listening to some calming music. I mean, it wasn't reading, because even reading, sometimes you're like constantly, your mind is thinking. It wasn't reading, it wasn't, on my phone, texting back or answering messages. It was just quiet, it was just peaceful. And I really did feel rejuvenated. I felt like my mind is always constantly running, and why I didn't really need to have my mind running all the time. This was just peaceful. And so one of the things that I do on a daily basis is, when I get up in the morning, I do meditation. I have I have the Calm app on my phone, but even if you don't have that app, sometimes when I don't even feel like kind of dealing with the app and stuff, I just go to YouTube on my phone and I put in morning meditation. You can do a guided meditation, you can do just the music, but I do before the kids get up, before I'm making lunches and breakfast and all that stuff. I take at least 15 minutes in the morning just for me, and I am listening to this. I, s- I burn my Palo Santo, which is, bringing in positive energy, and I just sit there. I inhale and exhale, in 15 minutes. And so that's a way that rejuvenates me every morning. But think about it. It rejuvenates you if you deal with that self-care all the time. And so that's not just on special occasions or not just once a week, but think about something that you can do every day. So that's the first reason. It rejuvenates you. If you're dealing with self-care every single day, it will rejuvenate you. Number two, it gives you the ability to get a fresh perspective. And so I'll share with you, like this weekend, like I said, I spent the whole, actually, I spent several days at the beach. My husband had a conference. I worked from remotely. So I was working Thursday and Friday, Saturday, did some stuff with the kids, and then Saturday evening, afternoon was my self care time, my me time by myself, mommy's day out, and it gave me a fresh perspective because there are so many things. I've talked a lot about this being my year of intention. It's my transition year as I'm transitioning from being an elected official that I've been for 20 years and really tapping into, what makes Tamika happy? What am I doing? Where my passions lie? And what do I want to pursue in this next phase of my life? And I've got a lot of ideas and I've been processing a lot of things. And I really feel like I've been very intentional about kind of saying no to some things and then honestly evaluating other things. But after this weekend of that real deep self care that I did this weekend, it's given me a fresh perspective. It's given me some ideas that, or I've kind of, I've I've really decided some of the things that sound nice and I really was kind of interested in, but wasn't like exciting me. And I've realized, you know what, that's great, but it's really probably not for me right now. And so I was able to get a really fresh perspective after spending this weekend and doing the self care that I did. And so as you take care of yourself, if you tap into you're doing your self care on a regular basis all the time, it can give you a fresh perspective, whether it is a different idea that you're thinking about professionally or personally, or you're dealing with some stuff, even, relationships that you have. It may give you a different perspective, a fresh perspective when you're actually rejuvenated from being able to take care of yourself. So that's another reason that self care is so very important. And then the third reason, it gives you the juice to keep pouring. And again, I talked about, how people say you can't pour from an empty cup. Well, you definitely can't pour from an empty cup. And when you have gotten to the point where you've been able to care for yourself, when you've tapped into that rejuvenated and rejuvenation and everything else and gotten that fresh perspective from your self-care, then you're able to just keep pouring and keep doing what you're doing. After my great weekend away, and I immediately, and then most people be like, okay, Tanika, you didn't even come home and relax. But like literally, we got off the road at like 1:50. It got back in time for a 2 o'clock community event that I was asked to speak at, and I really wanted to be at, and it was a great community event. But I was able, I mean, I was there, I was refreshed, I was excited to be around people. There were people there that I probably wasn't necessarily excited to see, but I was, their presence didn't bother me, and their presence didn't lessen the joy I had from the excitement of being at this event. And so I think that also helped me because I was in a good space spiritually. I was in a good place because I had taken care of myself, and so I was able to come back and be excited and be in the community doing the work that I love, and then continue to figure out more things that I can do and work doing the work that I love in the community. And so I'm able to keep pouring into the community. I'm able to keep doing the things that I do because I've taken care of myself and I'm not burnt out and I'm not stressed out and I'm not feeling frustrated or depressed or whatever. And so I think that's another reason why self care is so important all the time, not just every now and then. So, anyway, those are my three reasons why self care is so important all the time. And I know that you probably can think of other reasons why it's important for you. But whatever your reasons are, please understand that if you are not taking care of yourself, if that is an afterthought, if that's not a priority, then at some point, it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be this month, but at some point, you are going to get burnt out. You are going to get like frustrated. Not going to like what you're doing. You might even be to the point where you're not even going to be happy being around other people. And so it's really important that you do take care of yourself. And so some of the ways, some of the other things I want to share with you, some of the ways that I'm implementing self-care every day. I talked about morning meditation. I'm doing more on the outdoors. I'm going for walks. I have a weekly date with a friend of mine that she and I weren't able to connect on a regular basis before. And now we're being intentional about meeting on a weekly basis and walking and talking. She can share what's going on in her life. I can share what's going on in my life. We can give each other feedback, but most importantly, we get to spend some time together and we're walking and enjoying the outdoors. I've started planning for my first hike. I'm going to start hiking this year because, that's going to be another way that gets me out in the outdoors, enjoying nature. I talked about, just going even outside and sitting around or just, spending that time not doing anything, just listening to some meditating music. But any of those ideas are some things that you can implement every day. Doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it has a whole lot of benefit. So, hopefully, I have given you some tips that you can think of on how you, number one, why self care is important, but certainly how you can make sure you're taking some time to care for yourself on a regular basis, all the time, not just when you've had a busy week, not just when you're frustrated or feel depressed, but all the time. Because if you're doing it all the time, then hopefully you'll never get to that point where you're stressed, you're depressed, you're frustrated, that kind of thing. So, anyway, of course, as always, want to invite you to follow me on all my social media. I am Ti Devine on Twitter. Everywhere else, I'm Tameika Isaac Devine. I'm excited because part of my rejuvenation and my fresh perspective after this weekend is I've also, mapped out a whole little plan of other things that I'm going to be doing and sharing with you. This is my year of intention, and I hope that you enjoy my journey as I reconnect with myself this year, my countdown to 50, enjoying this amazing year, but also reconnecting in a way that hopefully, as I go through this journey and I share it with you, it'll give you ways to think about how can you do some things in your life that actually fulfill you, bring you joy, help you live with more intention, and most importantly, be there for your family and the ones that you love and the folks that need you. So, anyway, until next Sunday, when I bring you another Success Sunday message, good night. God bless. Love you all. And feel free to always reach out to me and connect with me. Go to my website at divinelife.com, or again, reach out and follow me on all social media. So, I'll see you next week. Have a great week. I wish you a very successful and productive week. Happy Success Sunday. I'll see you next week.